Okay. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me? uh, yay, 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 yay. Hi. Okay, I'm going to do it all over again. Hi, I'm Summer. And today I am here on this workshop slash panel, writing custom PBTA moves with me. This is a part of CouchCon, which, if you didn't know, all this weekend on 3 different channels, they're having games and panels and workshops to support Doctors Without Borders. We are currently at $1,030, which is about halfway to the goal. So if you go down in the panels underneath the stream, you'll find a way to donate. Please do if you have money to give, because obviously we need help, especially from medical personnel more than ever. Thank you, everybody, for being here already. I'm really excited. Like I said, today I'm going to be talking to all of you about writing custom PBTA moves. I want this to be like really open. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I want this to be like super open forum. So if you have questions, if you need help writing moves, I'm going to be helping do that in chat with you. So I'm going to go over PBTA moves on the whole. Any questions that you have, Simon is lovingly grabbing them for me. So just if I don't get to it right now, I promise I will get to it later in the stream. But I kind of want to do a baseline running over what PBTA moves do, and then we'll get through them. We'll talk about custom moves, and especially the way that different PBTA systems address making custom moves. So this is going to be really fun. This is going to be chaotic. I'm really excited. But let's just talk about Powered by the Apocalypse. Apocalypse World, written by the Bakers, is a 2d6 system. If you haven't ever played PBTA games, I highly recommend you do. It is essentially a system of moves that use 2d6, and there are hits, like total success hits, partial success, and misses. On a 10 plus, you generally get everything or nearly everything that you wanted. On a 7 to 9, you kind of have to sacrifice something, but you still, at the end of the day, get what you wanted. And then on a miss, something bad happens, the opposite of what you wanted happens. We're going to talk about misses a lot, so I'm really excited about that. But the first game that did this, obviously, Apocalypse World. Oh, if you ask questions on Twitter, I've got them open, so I'll get to them. So don't worry about that. I've got all your questions saved and on tabs. But Apocalypse World, obviously, after going through their playbooks and their custom or their moves, their base moves, towards the end of the PDF, they go through writing custom moves, and they give 3 examples, and these are pretty solid. They give place specific, NPC specific, and in their book they give like a virus or illness specific basically options for writing, and that's kind of about the extent that they go into it. They give you really good tools at the end of most every PBTA game to write custom moves. So if you are writing custom moves for a particular system, I highly recommend reading the book because it will help you, I promise. But for one of my favorite PBTA games by Magpie Games, if you're unfamiliar, that I run a shit ton of Urban Shadows, is Urban Shadows. And they put it really well. And I'm just going to read this little excerpt to you from the book. And this is what moves do and should do. Moves state concrete relationships between a trigger and an outcome, a flow of fiction that pushes the characters forward into new and interesting situations. It's vital that these 2 elements serve each other, raising the action to a level of uncertainty to trigger the move and push the fiction forward with the effects. So, like I said before, how moves work is there is a trigger, which is generally stated as when you XYZ, when you do this, roll with this, and then this happens. And that's not always the case. That is the majority of the case for basic moves, but we'll get into other kinds of moves as well, which can like add on to other moves. And there's so much to do here, everybody. But why don't we go ahead and start getting to some of your questions, which I'm really excited. I'm going to start with our questions that we got on Twitter. So thank you all so much for writing those into me. We had a question. Oh my gosh, of course, now that I'm trying to actually get to it. Oh, I loved this question. This is from Levi, which is how do you make interesting misses? Something that hits hard but also makes for interesting and fair results. I have so many feelings about this. So, in the Urban Shadows book, and I think in the Monster Hearts book as well, they list out that a move should have something that you get on a hit, which is anything between a 7 and up to 12 or 13 or whatever your modifiers add. And then what you get on an extreme success or total success, which is 10 plus, what you get on a mixed success, and then you should also list what you get on a miss. However, I don't agree with that. I think that some of the most interesting moves actually don't need you to list out what the miss is. We see this a lot in Urban Shadows and also in Monster Hearts, where they just ignore listing what the miss should be. And the reason is because the move itself pushes the fiction in a direction that you know exactly what happens when you miss. So, what you should really focus on is making interesting hits and interesting triggers, right? So, your miss should be sorry, I just don't agree with that. I think that if you are relying on stating what your miss is to make it interesting, I don't think your move is that solid. And I'm not saying that it can't help like push the fiction forward, because I do this all the time. So I'm going to read you all a custom move that I wrote, which if you listen to Urban Shadows Cape Lorelei, you will be familiar with this move. And basically, I had a player, I won't name names, who said she wanted to sleep with everyone. And I was like, okay, that's great. That makes for really interesting relationships. It makes for really interesting character conflict if you are just going around and having a bunch of one night stands, right? And I thought that that would be an interesting place to engage with the fiction and also say something about the city, which is that you can't just get away with one night stands. So I wrote a move called Hey Hot Stuff. And at first, I didn't name any names. It was Katie, but I'll just tell you outright. Okay. Well, now I name names, whatever. Okay. So, hey, hot stuff. When you first encounter an NPC, so that's a trigger. This is hey, hot stuff is based off of a veteran move, which is called Old Friends, Old Favors, I think. Wow, I don't know anything. So I'm pretty sure that's what it's called, but it's a veteran move where rather than putting a face to a name, so this is a move that takes place instead of another move, right? So there's okay. I'm just going to read the whole move and then we'll dig in. Okay. When you first encounter an NPC, you may declare them a one night stand instead of putting a face to a name and roll with mind. On a hit, tell the MC what you asked them for when you lay in bed together. On a 10 plus, they have it ready. On a 7 to 9, they'll have lingering hurt feelings and will ask you for something in exchange. On a miss, tell the MC what went wrong that night. You've made an enemy seeking retribution. So let's dig. So basically, this move offers you something. There is a reason you would want to take this move, and that's what I think makes this move kind of really interesting. The player has to sacrifice something, which is putting a face to a name. So in Urban Shadows, you have two XP trackers. You have your faction XP tracker, which is your standard advancements, and then you have your corruption tracker. So to advance, you have to mark all four factions, which is Night, Wild. Oh God, why can't I remember the other two now? Mortal and Power. So this is asking you to sacrifice something. It's asking you to sacrifice an XP point rather than rolling a face to a name. But tell the MC what you asked them for when you lay in bed together. And then on a hit, they fucking have it for you, which is huge. Like, that's saying that the majority of your, like, 7 plus, they have this thing. It can be anything that you ask them for. But of course, we have on a miss, tell the MC what went wrong that night. So what the miss does here, is it pushes it pushes fiction forward, right? That's what we want from this whole thing. Regardless, you've created an NPC tie that's really interesting, and we can exchange debts if we feel like that's relevant. Um, most PBTA systems have a string or debt system, so we can talk. That's not relevant here, but whatever. Um, but essentially, you can get something really big. You can create this really interesting tie, and you push the fiction forward with this move in a really really interesting way. But you are sacrificing an XP point to get something, but that's why I think the trigger for this is kind of broad. It's substituting in for a basic move. So this is a move that you can use pretty frequently. Yeah, thank you, Matthias. Yeah, on a note, the miss still gives the player agency. They get to say what went wrong. As we've seen in Cape Lorelei, it's very interesting when they say what went wrong. And in fact is driving most of the first arc with that move in the second session or something like that. But let's talk about custom moves that are specific to people, NPCs, and places. I do have a really fun custom move that has not come in to play yet. If I want to see if I can find it. Or we can talk about, oh, I love my custom moves. Wowie, it's so fun. Uh why do I love this so much, everybody? Um let's do one that we haven't we let's do one that we haven't done yet. That we haven't seen in play yet. So I'm interested to see how it goes. Okay. Um I have a move that's for East Edo Beach that hopefully we will get very soon. Another Urban Shadows, worth noting. Um, the move is called That's Mr. Mayor to You. I also love naming moves. It's really fun. Okay. Um, when you bargain with the mayor, tell the MC how much you'll sacrifice to get your way and roll with mind. Already very interesting fiction first, I think. I'm just tooting my own horn, basically. So I'm asking I'm asking the player to go ahead and state something uh, that informs me of a lot and helps me move the fiction forward. What, regardless of what they get, I already got something out of this move. Me, um, they do too, but whatever. On a 10 plus, you make the sacrifice, and the mayor gives you what you want. Easy peasy. On a 7 to 9, you'll get your way, but it'll cost you extra. Take the mayor's counter offer or owe him 3 debts. I forgot. I'm reading this for the first time in months. And I'm shocked. Okay. On a miss, tell the MC your biggest weakness, desperate fear, or name an enemy. The mayor sees right through you and makes you an offer you cannot refuse. Take the deal or face the immediate and dire consequences. Haha. So this is really fun for a lot of reasons. And I'll tell you why. It immediately puts the mayor NPC as a person that you don't want to fuck with, right? Um, you know that just by looking at this move. And it kind of shapes the way that you're going to interact with him just before you even encounter him, just by having this move in the handouts. Because you see that when you try and get something from him, you are going to have to sacrifice uh, something to get your way. Just right. That's on a 10 plus. Um, and then on a miss, you could be in immediate life threatening danger, literally in that exact moment, it's a huge gamble. And I think it really sets up an NPC to be a power figure. And really, I try not to write moves for NPCs that don't fucking matter. If this is an NPC and we're trying to say something about him, we're trying to say something about the city, and we're trying to say something about the game and the way that people interact with this person. So when you're writing moves for NPCs, really think hard about it because you might not need to. But yeah, this is definitely something that says a lot about the the person that you're dealing with. Um, I'm gonna read some of your questions from chat. I'm gonna just go all over the place, everybody. Hope that's okay with you. And if it's not, I don't want to hear about it. First question from Ben. Can custom PBTA moves be about other things than sex with NPCs, or is it like a prereq? They can be about other things, Ben. God, they don't always have to be about sex. They should be most of the time, but that's personal preference. If your game doesn't have sex in it, then you probably don't want that. If you're playing Monster Hearts, then yes, it's always about sex. Next question. I feel like I answered that one sufficiently. Thank you, Ben. Do you feel like PBTA principles and moves have evolved in how they're used over time? This is interesting. Do I feel like they've evolved in how they're used over time, as in how they're used over the course of a game, or how they've used since the beginning of PBTA? Either way, I would say that they've definitely evolved. I mean, if you look at Apocalypse World, and then you look at something like new games that are coming out, they're the moves, and especially when it comes to writing custom moves, the tools that are available are a lot more concrete. They give you a lot more to work with, especially as a new GM. Like reading from Apocalypse World, I have it pulled up, about writing custom moves. Basically, this is what it says. It says, for some threats, you'll want to punch them up with their own custom moves. You create these custom moves. Are new moves for the PCs to make, not for you, like for them to roll, not for you to. When a player does specify, they roll specify, on a 10 plus specify, on a 7 to 9 specify, on a miss specify. Generally on a 10 plus they're fine, on a miss they're fucked, and on a 7 to 9 something in between. Then they give you examples. That's literally it. That's all they tell you. Which is I mean, it's Apocalypse World. They fucking wrote the book for that, paved the way for other books. But I will keep talking about Urban Shadows because I think it does this really well. Especially when it's trying to give you help. Urban Shadows goes really, really deeply into writing custom moves and having custom effects. It gives you bad examples and it gives you good examples. So it talks about really like general moves. So like their example in the book here is when you shoot an arrow with Elora's bow, which is so vague. You're doing that all the time and it won't always matter to the fiction. And they have a list, which we'll talk about lists. On a hit, inflict harm is established. Boring. What the fuck? Why would you ever need that? I'll restate this. Urban Shadows wrote this as a bad example. This is not a real example. They wrote this. On a 7 to 9, pick one. You're out of ammo. You inflict less harm. You get put in a spot. And on a miss, I guess you just miss? Do you see how vague that is and how it doesn't push the fiction forward in any meaningful way? Like, what changed there? Did anything change there? And then they actually give they give you 3 examples of good, same like general trigger. So this one is when you kill someone with Elora's bow, ask the player of the character you killed if Elora would have approved. If they say yes, mark mortality. If they say no, mark corruption. So you get something and it's interesting and you have to kill somebody to get it, which is like so much fun. No, it's not what I meant. But yeah, obviously, I think that PBTA moves have evolved over time, especially when giving context to how to write them and how to implement them, what triggers should look like, what fiction first should look like. And I think all of those are really exciting evolutions. And I can't wait to see. Matthias will tell you, we're currently playing a PBTA game called Last Fleet. And it is in like playtesting like format currently. And we're getting to look at these custom moves and see basically the conception of a new system and really pick those apart, which is really fun. I think for me, I'm so nitpicky with it because when I see a move that doesn't feel fiction first and it doesn't add anything, it drives me up a wall. So anyway, let's Let's move on to the next question. Love all these. Thank you. When designing a custom move, how do you balance the power level of each part of the move? Hmm. I feel like I need some more clarification on what you mean by each part of the move. Uh, how do you balance the power level of each part of the move? Do you mean how do you balance it between like a 10 plus, a 7 to 9, and then a miss? Um, I'm gonna assume that's kind of what you're getting at here. Uh, that's pretty interesting. I don't really. Uh, yeah, um, I think that obviously, I think that when you're kind of balancing what you get, what you want it to be every single part of the move should push the fiction forward in a way that is relevant and interesting. And I'm going to continue to say that pretty much for the next, hour, 2 hours or whatever. Um if you're and it should also okay, so I really like to on a 10 plus the give the player pretty much everything that they would have wanted by triggering that move, if that makes sense. With exceptions, I do think it's very interesting to never get everything that you wanted, because that's just not how the world works. And then for I think that the thing that we'll get back to a lot is the miss and how a lot of people struggle with like what happens um, on a miss. Let's go look at a move that I wrote. I will refuse to use actual moves, and we'll talk about this. Okay, so this is a move that I wrote for that Salty Ginger's game over on Tales from the Grim. This was a while ago. Bad Moon Rising. And they were getting towards their finale, and they had a tainted character who they were thinking was going to either die, come close to dying, or, um, you know, I don't know. I don't remember the exact context when we talked about. Yeah, it's easy to get everything you want when you give up all your dreams. So this is really fun. Move to right. So this is breaking a devil's deal. This is a very specific trigger. When you sacrifice yourself to save an innocent soul, roll plus debts on your demonic patron. I think this was a question that we actually had on Twitter, or maybe Matthias, you sent something similar to this to me. But rolling with things other than stats, which the Tainted uses this a lot, or not a lot, but the Tainted can use this where you can roll debts that you have on. Oh, we got a raid. Hi. I'm so excited. Welcome, welcome. We're talking about custom moves and PBTA. It's so fun. I'm actually talking about you, Lauren, and Kiana. You're both here now. But so when you when you roll plus debts on your demonic patron, or roll plus debts on your demonic patron, on a 10 plus, your bond with them is broken. You've saved the innocent soul and your own. Your demonic form is called back to hell. Take the playbook, the aware, and erase all corruption. Y'all, that's bomb. That's so bomb. You do get everything you want, really, with that. But you completely give up who you are, right? Um, you immediately switch to a mortal playbook, which is kind of insane. Obviously, this was for a finale, so we weren't thinking they were going to have time, obviously, between sessions before they would need to do, deal with all of that. But it's kind of insane. I actually am just like, wow, that was really loving of me to write that into the move. Okay. On a 7 to 9, you save the innocent soul for good, but sacrifice yourself. Your body returns to the state it was in when you became a demonic servant. Resume all harm erased by your initial transformation. I wrote this one because I knew that Kiana's character had been dying when she was saved, and became a demonic servant. So I will say that there was a little bit of insight into what was going on there, but you saved the person that you tried to save. And the trigger was sacrificing yourself to save an innocent soul. So you do this thing that you said you were going to do. You might die. On a miss, you are unsuccessful in all your endeavors, meaning you don't save the innocent soul and you know, I mean, maybe don't sacrifice yourself. We'll see. Uh, on a miss, you were unsuccessful in all your endeavors. Your patron has won out on her claim. The MC will tell you what happens. And this is basically saying the MC will tell you what happens stated is this essentially the same as not writing a miss move, right? Because on a 10 plus and a 7-9, I would say we could leave off writing that, right? We could leave off saying on a miss you are unsuccessful. And this move would trigger essentially if the first part, the successes should prompt you and should fill in the blanks of the misses for you. Um, Unless it kind of pushes the fiction forward in a new and interesting way that you hadn't anticipated. Like we could have said something like, on a miss, you draw, unwanted attention from a greater, more powerful demon kind of thing. If we had wanted to push the fiction in that direction, right? But because essentially what we get on a miss here is that you don't manage to save the person and you don't manage to save yourself, that's stated in the like win conditions, right? The success factors. Um, so yeah, I would say that when you're trying to like balance the power level of each move, you need to think, um, how do I make this interesting? How do I make this fiction first? How do I give them what they want? And how do I give them part of what they want on a partial success? While also pushing the fiction in a way that I would like to see it go or the group would like to see it go. So obviously PBTA is fiction first, and you're supposed to play to find out what happens. But that doesn't mean that you can't be interested in certain things or want the fiction to go in a certain direction. It doesn't mean that you aren't allowed to plan. In fact, you should plan. Wow, am I talking to my? I'm talking to you. I don't need to talk to myself about this. I don't plan. But what I what I mean by that is, you have pieces that are always moving in the background. Um, Alastair the Awful Sea does this really well with currents. Essentially, what they have is you set up a list of threats, and you kind of are supposed to weave them into each other and see how they continue to develop if the characters don't interact with them. And that's what you should always be doing in PvP and honestly other systems as well. Things are just as interesting. It's just as interesting to see what happens when you don't go fight the big bad as it is to see what happens when you do. And so, kind of, I'm so sorry, I keep hitting my mic. I just talk with my hands a lot. But yeah, I think just always having stuff moving in the background and, continuing to use moves to push the fiction in a way that you're interested in. Especially like if you do have a master plan or, whatever, which I don't recommend. Not healthy. So let's get to the next question. Y'all, what time is it? 10:30. Okay, it's early. I need more Diet Coke. Um, how do you go about designing combat moves? I feel like it's hard to come up with interesting moves to be used in a fight that aren't just when you are in blank situation, gain blank two. Oh my God, don't do this. Don't do this. Do not create moves that rely on mechanics only. If your if your move basically goes, when you do this, either you get a -1 or a +2. It's not interesting. It's literally not interesting. Just do combat as stated. It's so boring to do it any other way. Um, it doesn't help anybody um, to add combat moves. And I will go back to our example that I read from Urban Shadows, and we'll read to you again. This is the one that does this. This is the bad example. When you shoot an arrow with Alora's bow, roll plus blood. Vague, boring, not fun. On a hit, inflict harm as established. Did that need to be said? On a 7-9, pick one. You're out of ammo. You inflict less harm. You get put in a spot. That's all boring. It's stupid. Okay. They wrote it that way. I'm not calling this book stupid. They said right after that, they said shoot an arrow is far too broad a trigger for urban shadows. There's no guarantee that something interesting is happening when you use the bow, so the move is likely to trigger at inappropriate times. You can see that the non-specific trigger leads to outcomes that can't push the fiction forward in ways that are specific and evocative. The players will usually pick you're out of ammo. They can grab more at a store in the city or inflict less harm, leading to mechanical outcomes, ammo or harm, without meaningful engagement with the fiction, the bow. So the bow, you give the characters a bow that is supposed to mean something, right? If you're giving them something that is supposed to like, and you want a custom move surrounding it, why would you just make it a mechanical trigger, like a mechanical advantage? And it's not even like you don't actually get anything out of using it. You just do it, harm is established. You don't even, this is even a worse example because you don't even get a +1 mechanic to using it. So weird. Um, but they use, we don't like it. So they give 3 options that are good, and I read the first one. When you kill someone with a Laura's bow, ask the player if the character you killed if Laura would have approved. If they say yes, mark mortality. If they say no, mark corruption. When you unleash an attack on someone with a Laura's bow, these are options. Roll with mind instead of blood. On a miss, the bow betrays you to mortal hunters at the next opportunity. That's really fun. That's really interesting, and it provides something in. It pushes the fiction forward. When you go into battle with Alora's bow, roll with blood. On a hit, you have a vision. The MC will make your vision come true if it's remotely possible. You just name a vision. Holy shit. On a 10 plus, you know one NPC who will die and one who will live. On a 7 to 9, your vision is incomplete. Choose one who will live or one who will die, but not both, which is super interesting. I would choose this one. If I had to choose from these 3, on a miss, you will foresee your own death. Take a -1 ongoing through the battle. Isn't that so fun? Uh, I seriously love that a lot. And then they say each trigger in these moves is specific, evocative, and tuned to uncertainty, sometimes riding on the back of an existing move and sometimes engaging in the broader mechanical systems like corruption and advancement. Each trigger leads to an outcome that pushes the fiction forward towards the conflicts that moves down the road. Um, yeah, I think that this is an exact like a great opportunity that goes into combat. You should not be designing combat moves. I'm just going to say that. You shouldn't be designing moves that basically already exist. And obviously, in Urban Shadows, you have Unleash and Attack. In Monster Hearts, you have Lash Out physically. Like you're going to have that either in your playbook or in the basic moves if it's a great PBTA system. And you shouldn't be doing things that engage with combat unless it's pushing the fiction somewhere interesting. Using an NPC's weapon, calling on an NPC for help, in which case you could engage with something like bets, or you could say like, if an NPC was a quote unquote key NPC that you wanted to see in the fiction, or say we had a debt on like a really really skilled vampire hunter or whatever, and you wanted to call on them, you could write a move that is specific to that person, and you could roll plus stats, or you could roll plus whatever your relationship with mortality or power. You could have a whole different set of triggers that engage with combat but aren't combat specific. Like if you're writing moves that is like I'm doing damage, or like that, you're kind of missing the point of PBTA, so don't do it, is what I would say. Next question. When a move has a couple listed options for complications that would happen on a mixed success, like glitches for magic or for monster of the week, for magic and monster of the week, how do you decide whether the GM should pick the complication or the player should pick? It depends on the fiction. Um, I particularly love when players get to pick and engage with the fiction. But I think that when you're okay, so let me go find a move. I have moves for everything that I have written. Let's see here. Okay, let's do this one. Me and Matthias wrote a move together for a loss for the awful sea, if you're interested. It is on Twitter if you're wanting to see that. Let's see. When you intercede, this is defy the fates. This is the last for the awful sea, which is a very particular kind of vibe. When you intercede and stand in defiance of the sea, answer the following questions. Is the sea your only true witness? Did you receive visions of this looming fate? Did you already have a bond with the sea? Bond is basically your strings and debts and that kind of thing, or bond like in Dungeon World. Um, so this puts the trigger basically when you intercede and stand in defiance of the sea. Um, Alas for the Awful Sea has Sense What's Beyond, which is where you basically receive visions, like twisted visions of situations that are going on, and you can ask questions and kind of engage with that. So having a vision of a looming fate is something that can absolutely happen. And then already having a bond with the sea, this move kind of creates that. So it encourages this move later in play. So now roll with questions answered with yes. So is the sea your only true witness? Yes. Did you receive visions of this looming fate? Yes. Do you already have a bond with the sea? No, probably not. I'm just making this up. So I would roll +2. So 2d6 +2. On a 10 plus, this is a list idea. On a 10 plus, or a listing move. On a 10 plus, you do it and choose 2. On a 7 to 9, you do it and choose 1. This gives power to the player because they have to choose who they want to piss off. So let's talk about that. Your first option is the experience does not warp, distort, or corrupt a relationship you have with someone. Do not rewrite one of your bonds to reflect this. Which means if you don't choose that, your relationship with somebody is corrupted and you do have to rewrite a bond. The second one, if you do not yet have a bond with the sea, you can take this option and write one. How has your relationship with her become personal? Taking this one obviously gives you something in the future. If you have a bond with the sea, you'll get a +1 if you try to defy the fates again. So this one's worth taking. And you can bonds stack. So if you had 2, bonds with the sea, then you would have a +2 in the future. The third one, you are not put in immediate life-threatening danger, like going overboard, being smashed against the rocks, or being pulled under. The MC will tell you. So this is basically a situation where I would just say, this is what you're probably going to go overboard. You're going to get pulled under. You're going to something bad's going to happen to you. And I get to tell you what that is. It kind of puts the hands back in the power of the sea because we want the sea to seem like this very powerful thing. And obviously the person would want to choose this one because they don't want to be put in life-threatening danger. And the last one, and this is something that Urban Shadows talks about, and it's kind of the sore thumb one, where it sticks out. It's very different from the other options, and it means something important. The last one is the sea does not take umbrage with your meddling, which says a lot. And it's probably the one that's going to get ignored, right? Like it's the one that people are going to say, why would that matter? But that gives me something as an MC to basically turn it back around. And now the sea is fucking pissed at you. And it kind of is going to ruin your life because the sea is a big deal in Alas for the Awful Sea. It's in the freaking title. So this is basically to get back to your question. When a move has a couple listed options, obviously on a 10 plus you do it and you choose 2. On a 10 or 7 to 9 you do it and choose 1. How do you decide whether the GM should pick the complication or the player should pick? This one is about the player picks this one. And I honestly am trying to think of a move where the GM picks 3, but basically it's fiction first. If you're putting this is a very intricate move. Yeah, this is the first season finale. So of our Storms and Stars campaign. But how do you pick whether the GM should pick or the player should pick? I think it should be stated in the base of the move. So basically, if the player is trying to change the fiction, then they should be the ones to pick. But if it's going to reflect, if they fail, if the move puts the fiction back in the hands of the NPC or of the place. Like place specific moves, right, are really good for doing putting it back in the hands of the MP or the GM. Let's see if I can find one. I don't it's so hard to find ones that are in the hands of the GM where they get to pick for you. I don't see it very often. But I would say most always it should be in the hands of your players. Just because the game is so fiction forward and the game revolves around your players and their characters. Um and Yeah, the text just specifies who picks, but I'm saying like it should always specify like you if it says like on a hit you do this or on a 10 plus you or whatever. That's talking to you. But it will say like a GM will tell you what's going to happen next. Um I can't find one off that where the GM picks. You have um the glitches for magic. That makes sense. That makes sense. I think I would the glitches for magic and monster of the week or GM decided. I think I think that does track considering magic is probably out of your hands at that point, right? So it pushes the fiction to say that you're out of control of the situation um, on a character level and on a player level, which I think is pretty interesting. I do think it's just as interesting if the player was able to pick in that particular situation because we get to see. But I think that if it's supposed to be a bad thing, you know, something that is out of the player's control, then I get why that would fall to the DM rather than rather than the player. So I would always just say who's in control and who is it more interesting. Like who is it more interesting? What makes the fiction more interesting? Is it more interesting if the player picks, or is it more interesting if the GM picks? I think most of the time it's more interesting if the player picks, but obviously use your own discretion on how you're feeling about those moves. Um, hmm, how do you feel about our next question? Yeah, Girl Underground needed more direction. Um, Sorry, I'm reading chat too. Yeah, exactly. Dylan makes a great point. I think it's because the MC can pick based on the context to give you something funny, dangerous, complicated, etc., based on the tone, whereas players will almost always pick something that doesn't put them in a hard spot. Which is, yeah, absolutely. So, like for a magical glitch, you kind of want the MC to pick that because you think if that power is back in the player's hands, they're going to give themselves something that's not actually a detriment. Obviously, talk with your players and make sure that you're not doing something that they're uncomfortable with. But especially when it comes to glitches and that kind of thing. So always talk with your players and say like, "Is this okay?" But I think you're more likely to pick something that's going to actually put them in a hard spot. But yeah. Let's go to the next question. How do you feel about moves that have effects before rolling? When you blank, both characters exchange harm or don't have a roll at all. I feel great about them. I love okay, so like we'll go back to my mayor move. Um, when you bargain with the mayor, tell the MC how much you'll sacrifice to get your way. It already had something that you have to do before you can even like roll the move. Having moves that don't have a roll but kind of add something to to you or to a move, like adding on to other moves is really cool. And it's absolutely like more than fine if you don't want to have a move that actually uses a roll. Let's see. Um, I'm trying to find a good option or a good example of this, because again, Urban Shadows does this really well. Because you shouldn't always have to. You don't always need to roll to add something on there. But, yeah, I guess overall, um, if you're just trying to, it depends on what you're going for in the fiction or what you're trying to introduce, right? Because there are absolutely situations, um, in which you might not want to actually, have the characters roll, especially, if it's not gonna add anything. Like, if you want it to happen no matter what, why roll? If it happens every time that you use a specific item and there's no like, ooh, let's see this. Hmm. I love this. Uh, so using an item, blah, blah, blah. I'm like trying to look for a good one for y'all. Yeah. Oh, that's true. Yeah. Dylan, if you want to throw that in chat for anybody who's interested in seeing that move, because I don't have that like pulled up. Um, but okay, so they have basically a move that kind of causes other. They have this is a long list in the book, but they have unholy restoration. When you take this move, erase a scar and scratch out an unmarked corruption advance. You can't scratch out retire your character. Anyone with magical sight can look on you and know you have healed yourself through the dark arts. You can take this move more than once. So that's like a really interesting no roll. It's just a move that you can option or give to your character. You can add. We love an unholy restoration, don't we? Let's see here. I'm trying to look for a better one that kind of um yeah, okay, so this one is, you can add options or stat swap is another, example of changing a move. So you can add this move. It's technically adding a custom move, but, it's obviously very different than having them roll. So demon tricks, after you sign a contract with Balthazar for power, so there's your trigger. Roll with wild instead of mind when you try to mislead, distract, or trick someone, provided you still honor the contract. Um, they have this witch hunter add the following option to let it out. So this is an option for you to just add on to another move, reveal a supernatural effect or a presence nearby, or the presence of nearby mortals. Um, yeah, that's I think those are great examples. But yeah, having people do something as part of the trigger, um, beforehand, like you're gonna exchange harm no matter what, I think is interesting. It depends on what it is and what it adds to the fiction. Trading harm, like you each do one harm, can be, I think that's an option in uh that's an option in the unleash an attack um question, or like in urban shadows you trade harm. Basically you do harm and they do harm back, but you can avoid taking harm or do it intense or do incredible harm or whatever. Yeah, I'm going to read Dylan's move from chat. Knife craft: when you forge a knife and give it to your DM, if it's the first time this session, choose one, earn a point of experience, make a new bond with the character you named. Obviously you get something out of it, you get experience or you get a new bond which help you in the long run. And I'm a hoe for experience, so that's what I would probably take. But you give a knife to your GM, so like they can hurt you with that later. Ugh. So fun. Um, yeah, bonds are future experience too, but I forget about that. I want it now, Dylan. I don't want it later. That's boring. Yeah, but let's actually, I kind of want to pull up the basic moves of Urban Shadows because maybe I think that's it. Trading harm is basically part of the unleash and attack, which is something that you can add in. I saw y'all were talking about combat and in chat a while ago, and about writing combat specific moves for characters. Am I incorrect in reading that? Y'all are talking quick, so I can barely keep up. I gotta focus on my own voice, my own talking. Otherwise, I'll get sidetracked and not know what I'm talking about anymore. Um, okay. Yeah, Dylan, you said I like the idea of full replacements in some cases, like having a playbook that can't deal harm but instead create death, etc. Well, that was regarding yeah, that was regarding combat. I think stuff like that is super interesting. I more meant don't write moves that are going to be triggered for everybody. Um, regarding combat, if you have a specific item or a specific NPC or a specific person that you kind of want to, because I give custom moves all the time for for players rather than damn, should I just pull up my roll 20? I probably should. For custom moves when it comes to like I love that. That's so much fun. Uh I've done that a lot for our one shots just because I like to up the ante a little bit and make things wild right from the start. And I love giving players that are like hard custom moves for them specifically. for their character specifically. So yeah, I would say that if you have a person who's really interested in combat, you can. Um, I wish more games took the monster of the week approach, where it's just unless a move tells you to do other shit, just steal your heart. Yes, I love that. Just do it. Um, I wrote a move for Lauren's wizard character, which was really fun. Yeah. So I named this move the sense of self because okay, so I this was because this was for a one shot. I thought it was really interesting to give them moves that I felt would push the specific fiction of the one shot forward. I thought that they would interact with it. I thought they would trigger it. I was right. She did use this, but not in the way that I thought, which is really interesting. Um, and I have since given it to Atlas in Isidro Beach. So this is a great move. I need to shut up. Okay. The sense of self, roll with spirit. When you perform a ritual, dark, dangerous, or frightening, that's the trigger. It has to be one of those things because otherwise you could just let it out. Describe the ritual in its entirety, pronounce your intentions, and roll with spirit. On a hit, you get what you want. On a 7 to 9, sacrifice a piece of yourself. Mark one descriptor off your character sheet. It can be your name, part of your look, your demeanor, or your faction. Describe how the ritual changes you. On a miss, you have summoned power beyond yours. The MC will tell you what emerges from the shadows. So fun. Yeah, so writing custom moves that help people in certain situations, or you could obviously have one that helps people in combat situations, or like the example that I was reading was the bow, that triggers fiction. But yeah, would an answer to an intro question be an option for sense of self? Yep. If it's on your character sheet, then yes. Um, yeah, I think if I basically in that kind of situation, that would be a conversation that you would have with your GM. Like, does this count? But yeah, I kind of wanted that move to be because it's a ritual, right? And I wanted her to have to make a particular sacrifice. And I knew that Abigail specifically was really vain about how she looked and how she interacted with people. And giving up something like her name or a piece of her look or a piece of her demeanor would be a big ouch for Lauren. Um, and would be really interesting to see how Abigail parted with this piece of her. She rolled a total success. She didn't have to give up anything. Um, but yeah, I love that. I did have some other questions from Twitter that I wanted to get to. If y'all have questions, go ahead and throw them in chat. And then we'll probably go to a break here in about 5 or 10 minutes, and then I'll answer up these last couple questions from Twitter. And then we're actually going to write custom moves together. We're going to go through it. It's gonna be fun. Let's see here. I need to go back to my freaking Twitter. Do you like to draw from existing PBTA moves for inspiration? If so, which PBTA games do you like for that? Urban Shadows. Yeah, I love drawing from existing moves. And in fact, I love doing moves that trigger moves. Um, it's it's so much fun to have because moves are meant to snowball, right? Like they're supposed to. I think somebody asked me this question about how is it okay for moves to trigger other moves, and absolutely it's okay. It's so much fun. I think I have a custom move somewhere that's like immediately roll to keep your cool. Like that kind of shit can happen all the time. If you miss or because that can lead to really interesting. Let me see if I have one. Um, doop, 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 doop. I don't think I have any particularly like pulled up right now, but I'll look on the break to see if I have any of those things. Um I love. Oh, let's read it. Let's read an I just pulled that one up, Levi. Um yeah, I just pulled that one up. One of the options is immediately persuade. Let's do this. I have a move that's called Here Comes the Sun. And it is a NPC move. And this is pretty Okay, so I'll be honest, I might change the trigger for this one because it is pretty specific because you're not gonna run into her all the time. But I should probably change it to, the first time you make here's what the trigger is, when you make eye contact with Sunny. I'm probably gonna change that to be, when you make eye contact with Sunny for the first time this session, just so it's not every single fucking time you run into her. Um, but tell the MC what you find most beautiful about her and roll with spirit. On a hit, you manage to stay standing in her presence. Congratulations. On a 10 plus, pick one. On a 7 to 9, pick two. On a miss, you've never wanted someone the way you want her. Tell the MC what significant item you give her as a token of your affection. Significant, I said. So now you get to pick. You're in love and you owe her 2 debts. You're overcome with lust. Leave the scene to cool off. So just goodbye. Get out of here. Your mind is hazy and your heart is racing. Confess your latest sin to her. And then the last one, you cannot resist her. Roll to persuade an NPC through seduction and tell the MC what you want from her. Sunny is the embodiment of lust. She's literally a demon that's just lust incarnate. So this is a really fun one. But yeah, you cannot resist her. Roll to persuade an NPC immediately, which is it kind of snowballs the fiction, and we get to see how that plays out. We get to see how that move kind of snowballs into the next how persuading her goes. Um, I think Holy, when you rolled this, picked you're in love and owe her 2 debts, and then because you got a 7 to 9. And then also your mind is hazy and your heart is racing. Confess your latest sin. Pretty sure is what he picked. Because we got a big old murder confession, which is really fun. And now she has 2 debts on him, which is great. Love that. Um, uh, yeah. Do we have any more questions before we go to break? I think I have one more question on Twitter. Actually, now that I think about it. Pope said, "My greatest difficulty is balance, designing each possible result not too strong and or too weak." Yeah, I would read over every question. I would read over every question and or option when you have a list of options and say, which of these would I pick as a player because it doesn't seem that bad. um, if you have especially if you're doing lists, um, if you have one that you would pick as a player because it really doesn't seem, you know, awful, um, then get rid of it and choose something else. It should be an equal combat for the player internally of which ones they're going to pick. They should all have some kind of either they're all amazing because if you're doing like these are all great. Um, yeah. Oh yeah. You yeah, this is a great. I would also say be careful to remember that options are about pushing narrative, not punishing players. Yeah, it should never if all of them are just trash and are just going to hurt your players and add nothing to the fiction because hurting like choosing an option with harm, like extreme harm when it pushes the narrative forward. Like say you're dealing with the alpha of a pack and one of the options is, he hands your ass to you. That I mean in the right context that could be interesting and push the narrative forward, but don't make sure that you're not actually just being like an evil GM who doesn't if you care about your players and they are the heroes of the story, then it should be easy. But what was I saying? I need to stop reading crap while I'm talking. Balance. Yeah. So if it's like on a total success, pick 3 or 4, and on a partial success, pick 2, meaning that these are all great options, then it should be hard for them to pick. It should be like, oh shit, well, I really want this. Well, but this could really help me later on. Like Dylan's move obviously is XP right now or XP later. And I know what I want, but other people might have some foresight and pick something that can give them XP for an extended amount of time. But yeah, you want them to have trouble choosing. I will say that obviously having an oddball choice or a jarring choice is also really interesting, like we did in the last for the awful seed move, where the last one is kind of sticks out as a weird one. So Urban Shadows actually has an option or an example of this. And it says the key here is that the oddball choice makes the player make a concrete decision about their character every time they use the move. They can have everything they want, provided they are willing to give up a little piece of their soul to get it. And I'll read you the move. Ghoul. When you feed at least a pint of your vampiric blood to a mortal, roll with blood. That's intense. On a hit, they transform into your servant, eager to please you and loyal to your cause. On a 10 plus, pick 3. On a 7 to 9, pick 2. And there's 4 options. So meaning you always have to leave one out. They can serve your will at a distance. They do not hunger constantly for your blood. They are not jealous of the others who serve you, and you don't have to mark corruption. So you don't have to mark corruption. Obviously, you're saying a huge thing about the character because that's probably the one that they're gonna ignore. If they roll a 10 plus, they'll pick the other 3. But they're marking corruption every time, and it's saying something about them. Every single time that they do this, they are becoming more corrupt. It is adding to like it's increasing their power, but it's also corrupting them, right? And it makes a really interesting choice about the um, it makes them make a concrete choice about their character and what kind of person they want to be. So they could give up one of these other things and not mark corruption, and continue to stay who they are, or they can give up a little piece of themselves and mark corruption and get everything else that they want. Super fun. I love it. But yeah, so if you're gonna have a choice like that, that is the one that you think they'll always pick or the one that they'll always ignore. Make it interesting. Make it say something about the fiction. Make it say something about the character, or the situation. But yeah, I think we're gonna go to break. Um, and we're gonna write some custom moves. I'm probably just gonna write some custom moves for Urban Shadows, just because I am still, running Urban Shadows a lot. But if you all have moves that you need help with, feel free to throw those in chat with the question to let me and Simon know. And you can throw I'll literally look at your moves right now and we'll pick through them and I will destroy you live on air. So just go ahead and throw your questions, prompts. If you think you have an interesting prompt, we can talk about combat. We can write interesting combat moves, that kind of thing. But yeah, we're gonna go to break really quick. So everybody, um, chill, and we'll be back. Okay. Okay.
You're good. The moment you said like after chill or something. Oh wait, everyone can hear me. Oh hi everyone. I need to mute myself. Bye bye.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Can you hear me? uh, we thank you so much for sharing your moves with me. I'm really excited to go through these and tear them apart live. And I'm going to just tell you right now, I'm going to be very critical of you. But that doesn't mean your move's not good as it is. I'm just gonna let's pick it apart. We're just gonna do it, you know? Um, so our first one, I think, Levi, this is yours, is with us or against us. The Ordo Draconis is untrusting of outsiders. When you persuade a member of the Ordo, roll plus mortality instead of heart or power. The Ordo as a whole could be either depending on player choice. Mm. So this is so this is basically a move that would be determined given what the player, I'm guessing the player's dragon is, would that make sense? Or the player who decides if the Ordo is mortality. Um yeah, and I'm just gonna put you on the spot, Levi. Um what what does this player what does this move contribute to the fiction? Um because obviously when you're rolling with mortality, it means that you would mark mortality. You would get to roll that. Um, but what exactly does that say about the fiction? Um, or what are you trying to basically trying to accomplish? Because I would say that the move basically is fine, right? But I don't know that it's yeah, that's true. There are plenty of playbooks with moves that give you just different stats to roll, even in Urban Shadows. Sure. Um, yeah, I mean, if I think that there's more that you could say, um, rather than just rolling with mortality, just because that doesn't necessarily, like, to me, scream they're just they're suspicious of others. Yeah, I don't know if the move is necessary, is kind of what I would say. It the only thing that it adds is it means that you can't persuade them so much with your charm as you do with who you are, if that makes sense. Um, so maybe I would say when you persuade a member of the Ordo calling on your mortal relations, um, right? And yeah, the good points in chat. Um, basically, if it's about the Ordo specifically, then having consequences might be good if you fail. Yeah, what you could do, what I might recommend is say, because you're trying to persuade, like show how hard they particular consequence on a 7 and 9. Let me go to my basic moves in Urban Shadows because I want to look at the persuasion list. Okay, so when you persuade an NPC through seduction, promises, or threats, roll with heart. On a hit, they do what you ask. On a 7 and 9, they modify the terms or demanded debt. If you cash in a debt you have with them before rolling, you may add +3 to your roll. So with us or against us, when you persuade a member of the Ordo, roll plus mortality instead of heart. I would probably say uh, those those two those two things. Firstly, I would probably say when you persuade a member of the Ordo by calling on your use it like you dropping a name. Because okay, so when you drop the name of someone who owes you a debt, roll with their faction on a hit. Their name carries weight and gives you an opening or opportunity. So you could kind of pull in dropping a name into this if you wanted to show how unwilling, untrusting they are of outsiders. But I think that using a persuade them by doing something, because we have persuade through seduction, promises, or threats. So you could say when you persuade the Ordo through boasting about your relationship with mortality or some NPC, then you roll with mortality. And then on consequences, on a 7 and 9, they modify the terms or demanded debt. If you cash in a debt with them, you have before roll, you may add +3 to your roll. I mean, I honestly think that the 7 and 9, since they're just rolling a different stat, they modify the terms or demanded debt could be a lot. just off the cuff. Like it's a really good. The persuasion move is really good in Urban Shadows. It's really like straightforward. But yeah, I agree. I think having a specific consequence, um, uh, maybe having on a hit, they do what you ask. On a 7 and 9, they state uh, they demand you go after a target of theirs, and or like offer concrete assurance that you're with them, which could be really interesting. Um, so let me pull up my. I think that this is essentially the persuasion move, but using heart or using mortality instead, or that's at least what the intention was. But let's go ahead and write this out with us or against us. Uh, yeah, this is just a subtext. I don't think you actually like fully need to say this in the move. This is what we're trying to make happen, right? The Ordo Draconis is untrusting of outsiders. That's what we're trying to. And I would just get rid of or power. I would like basically take the like executive narrative and decide who they're more in touch with. And I would probably say mortality, knowing the Ordo would be more on board with that than they would be with, you know, power. Um, naming. This is all super rough. Obviously, we can refine this as we go. Or I've got an idea. So persuade an NPC through seduction, promises, or threats. What could we pick instead? What could we do instead? Yeah, we're basically rewriting that move. Because if the persuade consequence put you in debt to the Ordo, then the Ordo could cash in those debts to hunt you, make your life hard, etc. Yeah, I mean the persuasion already does that, right? They modify terms or demand a debt. Yeah, they could do a lot with that. They don't really need. When you persuade a member of Ordo. Roll with mortality instead of a heart. I think that might be fine. NPCs, we can go over what NPCs do with debts. NPCs can basically cash them in the same way. The same way that NPCs do. So they can make you answer a question honestly, introduce you to a powerful member of the faction, blah blah blah. They can use those. Yeah, I was gonna say on a hit they do what you ask. On a 7 and 9, your that's kind of borrowing from Alas. Alas uses that. Demand concrete media assurance of your loyalty or demand a debt. It could be interesting to say if you cash in a debt you have with them before rolling, you could say if you cash in a debt you have, not if you cash in. If you, you can give them a move, you can give them a debt. Where's the move that uses that gives somebody a debt? I think it's an intimacy move. You take somebody else's debt. Is it the vampire? Is it the tainted SOS? Who is it? Who is it? I think it's the tainted. Let's see. Is this is the one move of Urban Shadows Dark Streets that I don't is there that oh, this is the one that you don't understand? So then rather than rewriting Persuade, it might be worthwhile to stick to the original, roll with this instead of that, and then write a separate NPC move that lets them cash in their debts to fuck you over. Um, honestly, I don't think debts need to be they can fuck you over with debts anyway. So I probably wouldn't worry about it. Um, I don't think I think that's getting too messy with this when well, really that's not the intention. Yeah, it is the tainted. I knew it was. I was like, I think Coley did this. Let me see if I can find a tainted on this damn list. Oh, there's so many people. Who are you? Tainted, tainted, tainted. Oh, I know who was a tainted. Joy. Let's go look at her in Missy Move. When you share a motive and see physical or emotional with another person, they give you a debt they hold on someone else. Let's go to the Colton move. Ma, 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 dun, 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 dun. Oh my god, it won't let me. Yeah. I think and a more oh, gotcha. So like basically writing a writing sorry, I need to just be reading chat too. I meant in a more tonally appropriate way since we're trying to communicate suspicion. So rewriting a cash in a debt for I think that that's a GM move that doesn't really need to be stated. Because you there Urban Shadows does go into writing custom GM moves a little bit. But I think that that's something you can do behind the scenes since they're NPC. So basically we know that if the GM gets a debt on them, which is stated in the persuade an NPC, then we know that we can cash that in a different way, right? So I think that would be fine. I am pretty happy with this right now as it stands. I think I would let it sit for a little while. Um, because I think okay, so we want to add it suspicion because they're suspicious. That's why I think that it's important to say by naming or calling or I kind of want to say like pointing around your exploits or something like that. Kind of like vamping or something to them because you're kind of like trying to prove yourself, right? Rolled up to an NPC. Roll with mortality instead of heart. It's a little bit wordy there, but on a hit, they do it. They do what you ask. On a 7 to 9, they demand concrete, immediate assurance of your loyalty to them or demanded debt. If you give them a debt you hold on someone else before rolling, you may add plus to your roll. I think that's spicy because we don't do that very much. Yeah. Do you want me to increase font size? Hold on. I'll grab it. How's that? How that? Um, there we go. That should be good. Um, I think that's good. I think that's fine. Yeah. Is this okay, but that is specific now, Levi. If this is for the dragon specifically, this could be for anybody right now. Like anybody could use this. But do we add that as I think that's something to think about if you want this to be for everybody or for it to be for dragon specifically. And if it's a first time player, please tell them not to play the dragon. Um uh the dragon already has so much please tell them not to do this to themselves if this is a new player. We'll just go ahead and say that. Let's get to the next move. Yeah? I'm excited. What do we got? So sorry. Question. Better than morphine. Let's put this out. What system is this, friends? Dark? What is this? Monster Hearts. Great. Okay. Thank you. Better than morphine. When you die intentionally, roll with dark on a hit, get the high in either clear condition or get an experience point. On a 10 plus, choose one from below. On a 7 and 9, choose one that MC chooses one more. And then let's get through this. Okay. Something follows you across the veil. Who is this for? This is for Monster Hearts. I've also taken Ghoul Move that lets you come back from death for a background. Oh. So this is so this is for who? Is this for anybody? Cause that could change this a lot. Roll with dark on a hit. Get the high in either clear condition or get an experience point. Out. Out as in dead. You lose track of something the MC chooses what. Someone knows you did it, they gain a string on you. Playbook specific or general move. Yeah. That's what I need to know. Is this for a specific person or is this for everybody can use this? Hmm. It's more anyone can do by not skirting death. Yeah, I have yeah. Yeah, most people don't come back. So on a hit, get the high in either clear condition or get an experience point. I think that this needs to be specified because when you die intentionally, content warning, is that about suicide? Uh, like, is that just I don't fight back? Or is that I let someone kill me? Um, because you could say, um, that could be it. Yeah, it does. It implies that death is used as a is kind of like oh, weird. Interesting. Um uh put the name of the move in. Yeah, you said this was triggering off of the move that you said you take a ghoul move. Um is the ghoul move running? Hold on, I've got a Monster Hearts playbook open. I've actually got Monster Hearts already open. So let me find that really quick. Monster Hearts. Let's go to the ghoul. Let's see. I need the freaking the where is here we go. Making the skins. That's what I'm going to. The Fae, the Ghost, the Ghoul, the Hunger. When you die, wait it out. Short rest for the wicked. When you die, wait it out. A few hours later, you wake up fully healed. Thanks. Oh, you guys, I just found it. Yeah, but okay, so I like when you take a short rest for the wicked or some such. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I like that. But this is like they did it intentionally. That's also something about the move. Like you're literally dying to get the high of dying, right? Um oh, this one is complicated. I like that. Um yeah, I think that's a good point, Dylan. I like that. No, it's fun. On a hit and either clear a condition or get an experience point. Uh, mm, yeah, yeah. When you intentionally take a short rest for the wicked, um, roll with dark on a hit, get the high, and either clear a condition or get an experience point. I don't know if that's enough. I think that's kind of where I'm struggling, because you're out longer than you thought you'd be. Who covers for you? They gain on string on you. I'm trying to think. I I think this one, who covers for you, is too similar to someone knows you did it. But I like the beginning. You're out longer than you thought you'd be. Um, uh, I kind of, um, I want to make it juicy. Cool also has a hunger, so another outside impulse. But this is the queen. This is just has taken the ghoul move. So this is literally very specific character specific move. Um, so it has nothing to do with the ghoul. When you intentionally take a short rest for the wicked, roll with dark on a hit, get the high, and either clear condition and something goes here. Um, on a 10 plus, choose one from below. Like I don't know if that's enough. Do we think it's not fucked up. It's not. It's Monster Hearts. Are you kidding me? On a 10 plus, choose one from below. On a 7 to 9, choose one. The MC chooses one more. I like that. I think that's good. I think that part's good. Um, yeah. Ooh. I like that, Levi. That's very smart. Something follows you across the veil. I love that one. Uh, give the MC a little bit of power there. Someone knows you did it. Uh, intentional name who they gain a string on you. You lose track of something. The MC chooses what. I'm gonna say you lose something. You lose something. The MC chooses what. Kind of want to add like and tells you where it is. The MC chooses what. You're out longer than you thought you'd be. Okay, here we go. I'm working on it. Okay, on a hit, get the high, and I do because what do we think is interesting? Because I don't think XP is interesting. Um, from dying. um, clearing a condition could be interesting. Nice, Dylan. Wow, wiping on your keyboard now. I'm kind of going to look at the basic moves of Monster Hearts. So fun. Make each main character's life not boring. Keep the story feral. Say what the rules demand. Say what honesty demands. Um, does anybody have any ideas here? Get high and maybe it could be. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking it could be impressive to somebody. Um, that's true. Look into the abyss. Yes, that's actually a really good idea, Matthias. I don't know why I said actually. You're full of great ideas. What is going on? Let me go to the moves. I need the basic move pulled up somewhere. Oh, that's juicy. Levi. I'm into that. I think that's good. But also it's so scary. Um yeah. Mm, I love that actually. Well, I don't have the moves. I don't have the basic moves anywhere, but whatever. It's in the book, I'm sure somewhere. I just don't know where. I found the skins easy enough. The skins. I'm just gonna keep going until I potentially find the moves. Vampire moves. Come on, book. God, so fun for me just going through. Whatever. Okay. Yeah. Um. Well, I'm pretty sure you're looking for something. If we're being real, you're probably looking. I mean, if you're getting high by dying rather than just going and finding a drug like a normal person, don't do drugs, kids. Let's go look at self-respect. You're not gonna find it in death. Let's see. Um, Monster Hearts. Um, yeah. Get the high and roll as if you rolled that on a 10 plus. Uh, Part of play to find out what happens is when a move says something, it's true. The improvisational work of PBTA is justifying those results, not saying this wouldn't happen, so let's ignore it. I don't know what that was in relation to, but good point. Um, let's see. Okay. Gaze into the abyss. When you gaze in the abyss, name what you're looking for and roll with dark. On a 10 up, the abyss shows you lucid visions, and you take one forward to addressing them. On a 7 to 9, the abyss shows you confusing and alarming visions, but you get your answers nonetheless. And how should I phrase that? Um, I kind of want to say that you do have to ask for something. And uh, in the veil. Uh, should I don't know how to phrase this. Like on a take gaze into the abyss with an automatic success. How do I phrase that, everybody? Um, Thank you. In the veil. I always worry that I'm gonna never mind. Okay, I'm not gonna say anything. On a hit, get high, and name what you look for in the veil. Take the I don't know, automatically help, write this for me, everybody. You gaze in the veil as if you had rolled a you get yeah, gaze into the yeah, you gaze into the veil as if you had rolled a 10 plus. Further. Yeah, it's called Gaze into the Abyss. Interesting that both of the moves we've written so far trigger other moves. Very interesting. Um, I like this. Okay, so better than morphine. When you intentionally take a short rest for the wicked, roll with dark. On a hit, get the high and name what you look for in the veil and gaze into the abyss as if you had rolled a 10 plus. I feel like there's too many ands in the sentences. On a hit, get the high and name what you look for in the veil. Gaze into the abyss as if you had rolled a 10 plus. Further, on a 10 plus, choose one from below. On a 7 and 9, choose uh I think that's good. On a 10 plus, choose one from below. On a 7 and 9, still choose one. But the MC chooses one more. You're out longer than you thought you'd be. The MC tells you what significant event happened during your rest. I'm going to put rest in quotes. You lose something. The MC chooses what and says who has it now. Someone witnessed your intentional death. Name who. They gain a string on you. No. Need 2 strings on you. Something follows you across the veil. The MC will tell you what now or later. I actually like that one a lot. What do we think? I feel pretty good about that. I'm in it. I'm into it. Let's see. Oh my God, I hate that happens. Whatever. Great. Okay, let's do the next one, everybody. This is going good. This is great. Dylan, your turn. The road we travel. Scroll, 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 scroll. You're welcome. It's fun. Rip your move, Dylan. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. When you tell a story over a campfire of a moment where your party's adventures changed you, resolve one bond. What system, Dylan? Is this Dungeon World? Resolve one of your bonds with a party member and write a new bond with the whole party. Dungeon World, bunny. I said that, didn't I? Okay. Question, is that one bond to the whole party or is that one bond with every person in the party? So like 4 new bonds. Oh, thank you. Hmm. Hmm. Is and the attention is whenever you would roll to aid or interfere, it's super bond. Would you this is more just mechanical stuff. Do you trigger that by helping anyone in the party, or do you have to help the party as a whole and you can roll to aid and, or interfere, whatever? Also, what if you don't feel I really don't think I can change anything, honestly, just because it's not really okay. Yeah. Um would the bond need to be resolved with everyone or just one party? Just one party member, it says. It says resolve one of your bonds with a party member. That would be one person. But I think there's nothing I can change just because it's such a simple move. It doesn't trigger anything other than resolving of bonds. Obviously the move trigger is very specific when you tell a story over the campfire of a moment where your party's adventures changed you. Um Arrow is just like, you all have made me a worse person. Resolve one of your bonds. Check. Super bond. Check. Yeah. Do you mean in a positive way or in a negative? I guess it just has changed you. Um, resolve one of your bonds with the party member and write a new bond with the whole party. Yeah, I think that works. That's totally fine. There's nothing I feel like I can add or change to that. It's very clear, very straightforward. It's very reflective. Yep. And yeah. Resolve one of your bonds with a party member. Can I can I say if applicable? Can I add that in there? Because what if you don't feel like you've resolved one of your bonds? What if your bonds you feel like they're ongoing regardless? Do you want them to have to give up a bond in order to write the super bond? We totally didn't have a thing for each other. Yeah, I think that's something to think about, Dylan. If you absolutely want them to have to resolve, a bond, do this and they still get XP for it, I would assume, um, and write a new bond with the whole party because part of resolving is that the other person agrees. I do want it to replace a previous bond. Okay. Uh, so what happens if they do you still write the new bond, though? What if they can't? Yeah, that's true. Okay. I think that's just something that we'll figure out during play. Um, might need some tweaking as we move forward, but I think it's great as is. This one is for masks. Let's go. Let's rock. Yeah. I mean, if you don't resolve a party member, then you just don't use them. You just don't trigger the move if you can't resolve. Let's go. Let's go. This one is called nothing. uh we'll name it denying Turner for now. I'm actually gonna name it turning the tables. I love naming moves more than I like writing them. Uh, we don't need this. Turner, this is context for us. This is not needed in the move. You don't need to say this. Turner is a master feather mode and wants to bend feathers too as well. That's subtext. We don't need that. When you deny Turner's request, state a power or memory that you are willing to sacrifice and roll plus savior. On a 10 plus, this I did read this one as it was coming through chat. I didn't. Okay. Let's talk about this. There's definitely some stuff that needs to be tweaked here. I love the theme of the move. I said I was going to be mean. Okay. When you deny Turner's request, state a power memory you're willing to sacrifice and roll plus savior. On a 10 plus, you use your sacrifice and deny Turner. On a 7 to 9, you sacrifice and deny Turner's wish, but Turner may ask you for something different. Okay. 10 plus is not need to be said. So you just say, when I hit. When you say you lose your sacrifice, do you mean you give it up? Like you make the sacrifice? Or do you not have to give it up? I need that. Okay. I think wording can help. Just set the tone. On a 7 to 9. um on a mess, Turner extracts the price. Okay. Is there a debt system in masks? Question. Cool. No, totally fine. Because I think this miss doesn't say more than the 7, right? It might not even be needed. When you deny Turner's what does he request generally? How does influence work? Let me go look it up. Influence masks and losing influence over others. You can't get influence over someone, which means you can get influence over someone, which means you can make them question themselves, like an adult has over a teen. So he would have influence over a PC anyway. Influence. Labels shift and change over the course of the game as your self-image changes, most often due to the influence of others. As these labels shift, so does your position in the story, blah, blah, blah. Influence is a mechanic used to keep track of whose words matter to you. When you have influence over someone else, it means they care about what you say. When someone has influence over you, it means they're affected by their words. You're affected by their words. Um, you do have influence over them. All the adults have influence over you by default. But you can resist what they say to free yourself of words. Is resisting a base move? Let's go look at the base moves of mask. I'm getting ideas. We're gonna snowball. Moves. This is what I want. Persuade with the best interest. Adult moves. We want basic moves. Ooh, ooh, ooh. When you directly engage a threat. Comfort or support. Pierce the mask. Assess the situation. Reject someone's influences. When you reject someone's influence. I'm gonna add that in there. To reject someone's influence. Because on a 10 plus, choose 2, 7 and 9, choose 1. Clear condition or mark potential by immediately acting to prove them wrong. Shift one label up and one label down, your choice. Cancel their influence and take plus forward one forward against them. On a miss, their words hit you hard. Mark a condition. The GM will adjust your labels. I'm happy with that. Okay, so on a hit, you make the sacrifice but manage to deny Turner. On a 7 and 9, Turner ups the stakes and asks for something you'd rather not give up. On a miss, immediately roll to reject someone's influence. What do we think? State of power or memory that you're willing to sacrifice. And roll plus savior. What do we think? I vibe with this. I fucks with this. Is this good? Never played Masks. I'm not a superhero kind of gal. I mean, I like superhero stuff that requires the fiction, but that requires the fiction of what Turner thinks about them. Um, does it? Acting to prove them wrong. Okay, okay, okay. Um, well, I would say that when you deny Turner's request that he is saying something that he thinks about you, right? Does the first part of the move I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with Masks enough to be, like fully with what these moves are triggering in the fiction. But but I would say that when you deny Turner's request, um, he is probably maybe we could imply that in the move that he says what he thinks about you. Mm, okay. On a miss. Uh, is it called the MC or the GM? Uh, great. Uh, Mark condition. Fresh. Turning the tables. Wow, I love that so much. When you deny Turner's request, state a power or memory that you are willing to sacrifice and roll plus savior. On a hit, you make the sacrifice but manage to deny Turner for now. On a 7 to 9, Turner ups the stakes and asks for something you'd rather not give up. On a miss, mark condition, and the GM will tell you how Turner shifts your labels. Oh, yeah. So good. Love that one. All right, let's do the next one. This is yours, and I know it is. Smooch and smash. Wait. But appropriately hard. Yeah. I mean, if this guy is like a master of others' minds, then like, damn. And I'll share this link with all of you in the future. Smooch smash. I was taking a bath. When you consensually get intimately involved with a frenemy in close quarters. Okay, let's get into this. Damn it. What what system is this with you? One time plus you smash and smooch to both of your heart's content. Dungeon World at your option. You may remove a debility, but expose something vulnerable of yourself to your frenemy. And if they are a PC, they mark XP. This is going to spice it up. On a 7-9, you do the thing, but neither of you can gain XP from a bond with the other this session. I would choose. Maybe rewrite one that you both seem to be a bit uncertain how you actually feel with the other. You can essentially get I think it's pretty well stated that you're in close quarters. When you consensually get involved in when you sexually get intimately involved with a frenemy, roll plus bonds. Roll plus bonds you have with them. On a 10 plus, you smash and smooch to both your heart's content. That's your option. I think you just can say. You may remove debility, but 6 feet apart. Two guys sitting in a hot tub, 5 feet apart because they're practicing social distancing. You may remove a debility, but expose something vulnerable of yourself to your frenemy. Jesus, notoriously exactly 6 feet tall. We know they're listen. Okay. Here's the thing. I'm here to pick this apart, and we don't need to say they're in close quarters. It's implied. And also, why stop them? If they wanna do it 6 feet apart, let them please. On a 10 plus, you smash and smooch both your heart contents. You may remove a debility, but expose something vulnerable of yourself to your frenemy. And on a 7 and 9, you do the thing, but neither of you can gain XP from a bond with the other this session. And maybe rewrite that one. You both seem to be a bit uncertain how you actually feel with the other. Yeah. Does it? I think it's pretty fair. Because you're really awkward now, right? Yeah, maybe it is. Maybe. Because if you're rewriting a bond, that should be XP. So you're taking XP from the players. Okay, let's do this. Here we go. How's this? Okay. So on a 10 plus, you smash and smooch both your heart's contents. You may remove a debility, but expose something vulnerable about yourself to your frenemy. If they're PC, they mark XP. On a 7 and 9, you do the thing, but neither of you know quite how you feel about it. Take the time to rewrite your existing bond, making clear how you've changed but don't mark XP, right? Because you'll still be able to use that bond later, your new bond, and to get XP, but you don't get XP the same way that you do on a 10 plus. Um, I think that's fair. And on a miss, it goes horribly, horribly wrong. I don't know. This is one of those moves that it's better just not to say. It's better just not to say exactly what happens. Uh if it were write a new one, sure, but you're still punishing players for partial. I don't think so. Well, you still get to mark XP if you roll to help each other later that session, but it's not it's the thing is the whole move gives you something. I think you still can, right? You still have the potential to rewrite a bond at the end of the session and get XP for it. This is just a second opportunity that potentially gives you XP. Also, interesting take. Do you both roll this if you consensually get intimately involved with a frenemy and they are a PC? I feel like it would kind of, if you both rolled, you would both have to roll. You would both have to roll. Um, yeah, I think though, like for this one, Dylan, I feel like this is giving you an option to get extra XP. But yeah, the 10 plus, their 10 plus could negate each other. Damn it. I don't know how to make this. I don't want it to be punishing, but I obviously don't want to give them. I I don't want them to both. Yeah. I and you can't say, but neither of you know quite how to feel about it. But you don't know how quite. You don't know quite. Okay. You do the thing, but you don't know quite how you feel about it. Take the time to rewrite your existing bond, make it clear how things have changed. You did want it to be punishing. Yeah. That was my thought. Um uh I took it out. I kind of do want them to. I also don't think XP. I feel like I need to sneeze. Okay. Yeah, you get XP with every single. Yeah, no matter what you roll, you get XP with this, unless you state that you don't, which maybe means that you shouldn't rewrite a bond, so you don't get XP. Um, if you do want it to be punishing a little bit, uh, you do. If you would, okay. So this is what I'm saying. This is guaranteed XP because unless you say don't take XP when you rewrite your bond on the 7 to 9, you get XP for a 10 plus, you get XP because you're rewriting a bond on a 7 to 9, and then you get XP on a miss, which doesn't feel like balanced to me at all. So I'm going to take out the bond and instead punish them a little bit. They'll still get XP on a miss. Yeah, intimacy being tricky was part of the motivation. I kind of want. I can't decide if I want it to be a -1 to because I like bonds better because it is more interesting long term. Um, that's exactly what I was gonna say. to help interfere until you resolve a bond. Take. Yeah, I like the negative one because it is a little bit more punishing and does reflect a change in your relationship. To uh, I want it to be clear. Till you're able to resolve your bond. Bone. You do the thing, but you don't know how quite how to feel about it. Uh, yeah. Okay, let's try this. When you consensually get intimately involved with a frenemy, roll plus bonds. Yeah, they're not frenemies. This does not trigger for hmm. Yeah, this is not established healthy relationships. This is a bad relationship. I can't believe I wrote bone. Okay. When you consensually get intimately involved with a frenemy, roll plus bonds you have with them. On a 10 plus, you smash and smooch to both your heart's content. You may remove ability, but expose something vulnerable about yourself to your frenemy. Their PC, they mark XP. Amazing. You know what? I want you to both mark XP, right? They mark XP if they're a PC, not you. Yeah, it's powerful, but yeah. Do you want it to be a I kind of like it being a new bond. Just saying. I kind of like it rather than because you're in my personal opinion, your existing relationship with them doesn't necessarily change, especially because you don't know quite how you feel about it. So your existing perception of them that they're your frenemy, obviously, you work together. Um, yeah, I agree. But I also think in the fiction, it said something about the fiction that your previous thoughts about them and the way you felt about them before still stands, but you have a new feeling about them that's like, oh, we boned, but only with one PC, not every party member. Yeah, no, that's fine. If they are PC, they mark XP. The person you boned. It's awesome. Um, I'm gonna say optionally you may remove because I think that was part of the original text. Optionally, you may remove a debility, but expose something vulnerable of yourself to your frenemy. If they are a PC, they mark XP. I'm gonna add that at the beginning because they get it for the smashing, right? They don't get it for the debility, the other thing. Okay, let's read the whole move. Smooch and smash. When you consensually get intimately involved with a frenemy, roll plus bond. I kind of wanted to, I don't know if I like the word frenemy. Wait, what are you talking about? If you do and they're a PC. Yeah, if they're a PC, they mark XP. I think it's great. Okay, I'm going to read the move. When you consensually get involved, intimately involved with a frenemy, roll plus bonds you have with them. Assuming you do, we might have none. On a 10 plus, use smash and smoosh to both your heart's content. If they are a PC, they mark XP. Optionally, you may remove a debility, but expose something vulnerable about your self to your frenemy if you do. On a 7 to 9, you do the thing, but you don't know quite how to feel about it or quite how you feel about it. Write a new bond with them to reflect this. Take -1 ongoing to aiding or interfering with them until you are able to resolve this bond, which is really interesting because it basically negates the bond. The bond exists. but you take a -1 on going to aiding. So it kind of just counteracts it until you resolve it. But when you do resolve it, you assume that you would write a new bond with them, and then you would have a new bond with them, which would help you. I think that's great. Not taking any more comments or questions at this time. Let's go to the next one. um, let's do it. Next. Damn, y'all. It's already 12:20. The playbook who gives the player access to transformation, magical, or supers. Okay. Let's contextualize this and let's give it a name. I'm going to read it first. I technically have 3 hours. I thought I was going to go 2. So I technically have 30 more minutes, right? 11, 12, 1. Am I muted?
Yeah, I must have hit the key. But
Simon, apparently they can hear you.
I hit all of the keys. Yes, I hit the unmute, mute hotkey. So we're gonna go back to you, and I'm going to disappear again.
Okay, bye. Okay, let's do this. Context. This is from a playbook that gives the player access to transformation. Awesome. So when you deep dive that game's version of investigate, which we can remove, you gain access to the following question. I have so many questions about this already. Does my henchman form have a reputation here? Has anyone who used a similar form been here recently? Are there any individuals here related to the forces that caused my transformation? What is this? What is this game? What is this game? What is this system? I have so many questions right now. Oops, I did it again. Okay. I'm learning. Deep dive RPG investigate. I'm looking it up. Is it Gumshoe? Deep dive is a move. Is this Gumshoe? Wow. I just want to find Gumshoe. Yeah, I know, but why? That's the only thing that popped up. What is this? What is this from? SOS. I need to know. Is this a Gumshoe? No. It's the only thing that popped up when I typed in those words. SOS, I need help. Okay. I don't know. It was submitted over break and it did not come with a name attached. Because as far as I can tell, this doesn't have any issues with it. Because I don't know anything about it. Help. Is this Henshin? An RPG? Wait. Am I saying that right? I sound stupid. No, because Henshin is a diceless story forward tabletop roleplay game. No, that's not it though. It's diceless. Wouldn't make any sense here. Whoever wrote this, you are a mystery to me and I love you. Because I also don't know how to help you. Um, wait, I need to scroll so I can call them out directly. We've been talked so much since then. Whatever. I can't, it literally won't let me scroll anymore. Sorry. Special move for that specific character. Well, I mean, then this is totally fine. I mean, this is exactly if it's a specific move, yeah, it's gone. BRB. Okay. When you deep dive, you gain access to the following questions. Does my Hinton form have a reputation here? Has anyone who used a similar form been here recently? Are there any individuals here related to forces that cause my transformation? That's totally fine. As far as I can tell, this is an additional uh this is what we talked about at the very beginning of the stream, where you can basically add as a move, you can add on to other moves, add questions to other moves. This 3, so I'm assuming that's like a pretty hefty amount of questions to add, but I'm assuming you can only probably ask 3 total, I would guess. But having these as options is really cool. It needs a move, it needs a name, but I would just name it after the character probably. Uh, Nameless. Oddity High. Is that an RPG? Either way, I'm gonna go to the next move because this sounds great to me. I can't tell. I don't know what's going on. Oh, it's from Rem. Rem's in Discord, so or in off the table Discord. So go at. Let's go to the next one. Against the Wall. When you are cornered by your enemies. This is Urban Shadows. I can tell, right? Roll with blood. On a hit, trade harm with your enemies as if you were a small group. 3 harm, 1 armor instead of a single person. You don't need to say that. On a 10 plus, pick 2. On a 7-9, pick 1. You inflict terrible harm. You suffer little harm. You create an opportunity. You don't mark corruption if you advance. Oh. If you advance this move, advanced option. You trade harm as if you're a medium group. 4 harm, 2 armor instead of a small group. Don't need to say that. Against the Wall. When you're cornered by your enemies, roll with blood. On a hit. Okay. When you are cornered by your enemies, roll with blood. On a hit, trade harm with your enemies as if you were a small group. 3 harm, 1 armor. On a 10 plus, pick 2. On a 7-9, pick 1. Is it? This is where? Oh, it is? Wait, what move is this? Against the Wall? Who's it for? From the Revenant? Ooh. Why is it here? I clearly haven't read the Revenant playbook all the way through. Let me go look at it then. Revenant, where are you? Revenant. I can still critique it all I want. That's right. That's fucking right. I remember that somebody in the chat was like, "How do you feel about stuff like that?" And I just assumed that they were putting in a move for me to fuck with, to fucks with. But apparently, no, that's not what it is. It's just me being a dumbass who is familiar with Urban Shadows, but apparently, no, don't be sorry. I'm critiquing it now. Now we're here for it. Against the Wall. Do I like this? I can still fucks with it. On a hit, trade harm with your enemies as if you were a small group. Do you have questions about it? I'd be happy to talk about it. You inflict terrible harm, you suffer little harm, you create an opportunity, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to look at the basic moves because it's taking so much from, I'm guessing this is it's from Dark Shadows, yeah. It's basically replacing Unleash, I mean, it is using blood still, but it's only when you're cornered by an enemy. So I'm assuming that when you're not cornered, you would still unleash an attack as normal. It's said the Revenant. So on a hit, trade harm with your enemies as if you were a small group. 3 harm. I love that I was just like, don't need that. Don't need that. Literally deleting actual things off of the move. That's amazing. That's so funny. Uh, yeah, if you have any questions about it, I'd love to answer them. Um, it's basically so unleash an attack. The regular move is when you unleash an attack on someone, roll with blood. On a hit, you inflict harm as established and choose one. Um, inflict terrible harm, take something from them. On a 7 and 9, choose one from below as well. They inflict harm on you, you find yourself in a bad spot. Yeah. An option to all hits that lets you sacrifice something. Insert in-game thing here to take one more. Well, um, in Unleash, you can take something from them. So generally, the way that I, counteract that is that they can also take something from you, um, which I guess would count as sacrificing something if you choose to. But also, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Could be interesting to add an option to all hits. It's also interesting that it only gives you the options: inflict terrible harm, suffer little harm, create an opportunity, you don't mark corruption, or and you can't take something from them. We're gonna move on. I don't want to spend too much time. Well, actually, that's our last move that we had to go through. Um, so that's I feel like we did great. That was the last move that somebody posted for us too. Um, oh yeah, on a hit you may take -2 forward to pick one more. Ooh, that's intense though, because presumably you'd want to use this again like pretty quickly, or at least unleash an attack. I feel like I would never take that. I feel like these aren't good enough for me to take one more. Do you know what I mean? Like inflicting terrible harm might be good because that means I'm doling out 4 harm. Um, yeah, and if you'll notice this, it says you don't mark corruption. You have to pick that. So you do mark corruption every time you roll this, pretty much. Um, yeah, I am vaguely familiar with the Revenant. I've read through it like maybe once or twice when I had we were getting ready for a new campaign that didn't end up happening yet. But uh I guess my yeah, you snowball this one into the Abash from Devil Stood move. Let me go find it. Dark Streets. I just have all this shit ready and waiting. Let's go to the Revenant. Yeah, Abash the Devil Stood. When you openly present yourself to the agents of your enemies, roll with spirit on a hit they choose, they scatter or flee before you. Yeah, so you could essentially go, I mean, look at all this shit. From interstitial, okay. I yeah, it's fine because you have vigilante. When you go into battle, roll with blood. On a 10 plus, hold 3. On a 7 to 9, hold 2. On a miss, hold 1. Were y'all tricking me earlier? Did you say this was an official move on the other page? What other page? Oh, thank you. Your underworld moves. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. Against the wall. Um, it's so funny. I can't believe I was literally just like, don't need to say that. Don't need to say that. Literally deleting stuff out of the actual official move. I'm so sassy. Okay. When you're cornered by your enemies, roll with blood. Yeah, this just it just snowballs. All of these moves just are so snowbally. They just snowball like insanely into each other, one after the other. Because then you're just like, you've got a Bash the Devil Stood, where you're like, now you're out of the corner. Now you're presenting yourself. But even if you're not backed into a corner, you can be like vigilante when you go into battle. Roll with blood on a 10 plus hold 3, and then you can kill, disable, or disarm your choice an NPC within reach. It's insane. Um, yeah, this is if you have any specific questions, throw them in chat. But I mean, I think this move is pretty self-explanatory. It's just, and I love my personal opinion on it is that it's good. um, let me go actually look at it again and see if there's anything. If I did not know this was an official move, what would I nitpick about it? When you are cornered by your enemies, roll with blood on a hit. Trade harm with your enemies as if you were a small group. Obviously, they're trading harm on you. It says cornered by your enemies, considering. So that means that there's more than one, I would say. Um, when you are cornered by your enemies, roll with blood. And then on a hit, trade harm with your enemies as if you were a small group. So you're doing 3 harm, 1 armor. Most likely, they're a small group, which is two, I think 3 people technically counts as a small group. So they're probably also trading harm with you equally, I would say. So you're probably taking 3 harm, which is not insignificant by any means. On a 10 plus pick 2, on a 7 9 pick 1, you inflict terrible harm, which could be up to 5 harm. Most NPCs only have 2 or 3 harm boxes, so they die real easy. You suffer little harm, which means your harm that you suffered would go down by 1, which is probably something I would want. You create an opportunity. You don't mark corruption. An opportunity is a mechanical thing in Urban Shadows that you have to have an opportunity to trigger your escape move. So if you were looking to escape, you would need to mark that. And or you don't mark corruption. So otherwise, you mark corruption every time you roll this. Every time you're cornered and you need to get out. And then advanced, you trade harm as if you're a medium group, which is awesome. Yeah, terrible harm is +1. So 4 harm. I yeah, writing moves that are for specific factions instead of playbooks. I generally have not, because, Urban Shadows, um, generally what they suggest, for Urban Shadows is writing moves that are let me pull it up. Um, come on. They write this is what they offer for you. Let me get to the top. Custom moves. Um, they go through, NPC, they go through environment, they go through, specific, um, NPCs, environments, like mechanics, so, like, specific objects that you get. They go through stat swap, they go through, harm and corruption. I would just say if you are looking to build custom moves to read the Urban Shadows, custom moves. Um, yeah, they talk about situational moves, custom moves for threats, equipment moves, character moves, um, framing scenes with moves. So, like when you harry a gang from the shadows to disrupt their operations, that's one of their options. So yeah, you may unmark a faction to pick one more. Ooh, yeah, you can unmark a marked faction. Yeah, that's pretty good. You literally lose experience. I would hate that. Oh my god, I would never take that. I'd be like, "Fuck this. I don't need an extra move." 'Cause like, that's where I think a lot of people struggle playing Urban Shadows because it's all about positioning yourself fictionally and using the moves to get yourself experience, but a lot of people kinda struggle with that. Um I want to advance. I want to advance in the way that doesn't kill my character, so I would never do that, but, that doesn't mean that it's not a really good option. And then, yeah, writing moves for specific factions, I think is really interesting because, especially in Urban Shadows, the factions are so diverse and, divided within factions, so, like, obviously, um, obviously, um wolves and vampires are together, right? Like, they're in the same faction, but most of the time don't get along, which is really interesting. But yeah, it's really interesting. I think it's a better use of time to write moves for specific characters, rather than potentially moves, because you obviously want to push the fiction forward with everything that you do, and if it doesn't add anything to the fiction, it's not worth your time to write, or and it won't get implemented. Just because if it doesn't use the fiction as a building block, um, it's not gonna it's not gonna be interesting for the characters to trigger. They won't even want to trigger it, right? Um, but yeah, just my 2 cents. Does anybody have any last questions for me regarding, custom PBTA moves, before we wrap this up? This has been really fun. We got some work done for y'all. Wow, I'm working for free. Do we wanna go back over that interstitial one? I'll be honest, interstitial is a beast. I've played it 1 time, and it's kind of very intense. But what I was going to say, and I'll pull it back up, just talk about it a little bit more. But what I was going to say about it is it looked good to me, from what I could gather about the move. And I don't have the interstitial playbooks on hand. Am I kidding me? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Somewhere. Let me go to my drive. I have I have so many random things that I don't need. Intersti Okay, maybe not. I don't have it on hand. Like, I have it somewhere, but this is the basic move. When you confront the situation in front of you and ask questions, roll with heart. On a 10 plus, ask 3. On a 7 and ask 1. What here could I use to blank? What here is not as it seems? What is the best way out of the situation? What was the biggest threat here? What was done here recently? And you gain plus forward to acting on the answers. On a miss, the GM tells you something that wasn't true. I knew it. Did I not call that? It was a plus 3. Did I not call that, everybody? I knew it was going to be an ask 3. I knew it. I knew in my bones, and I was right. But the move that is now nameless is when you deep dive, you can gain access to the following questions. Does my henshin have a form have a reputation here? Has anyone who used a similar form been here recently? Are there any individuals here related to the forces that caused my transformation or that caused my transformation? I think that's great. Because it's a person-specific move, it's kind of like a move that you would unlock from your own playbook, in my opinion. It just seems like something that gives you additional questions. I don't think it needs any editing. I mean, I think it's a great it doesn't have a name. It needs a name, but, um, it's I think it's a great especially because you can only ask 3 and the other questions are, obviously more, um, big picture, and this one is very specific to your character. Um, I think it's great. Good job. Um, name it. That's all I have to say about that. Name it something funny if you have the option to. Um, this was really fun, everybody. Um, I think we're good. I think we're done. Yeah, it looks great. Is it a move where the other players are going to be like, "Why can't you ask something useful to us?" Yeah, they're going to be like, "Damn it, can't you just like care about us for a second?" Uh, yeah, everybody, this was so much fun. I loved working or talking about your moves with you. The beta name is Freak Out. I agree. Freak out. You know? Um, and I think that's it. I am okay. Oh shit. Okay. Let me get my notes up again and I will kindly remind all of you what is going on after this. And if you have not had a chance to donate yet, please go donate to Doctors Without Borders. Um, we're supporting them with CouchCon all this weekend. You can go Nightbot. Thanks, Simon. You can go click on that link or in the panel to donate. Um, After this, starting at 5 p.m. EST, whoa, at 1,095, so almost 1,100. Somebody go donate $5, please. From 5 to 7 p.m. EST, here on this channel will be tone timing and pacing for game masters and narrative designers, which is going to be freaking fresh. Um, I have no idea. I'm assuming they'll probably be talking about, you know, not PBTA systems, but we'll see. Time will tell. So go check that out. Katie, Lauren, Anders, and MSN. Yeah, MXN. MSN. Why am I just fucking that up a million times? I'm doing my best. Yeah, this was really fun, everybody. Go donate. Am Summer. You can find me on Twitter at just a summer job, as it says above my head. I write custom moves all the time, and I will help you with your custom moves. I love talking about it, and if you message me on Twitter or DM me on Discord, I will help you go through your custom moves because I think that's really fun. And also, I don't want your move to be bad, and I don't want you to inflict bad moves on your characters. So your characters and your players and yourself. So please feel free to reach out. This was super fun. Thank you to Simon for doing production in the background and for volunteering to do this for CouchCon. This is really really fun. Yeah, but just go follow Simon on Twitter. You can find me on Twitter, like I said, at Just a Summer Job to see what I got going on. And if you want to listen to anything that I'm in, I post about it all on my Twitter. You can hear all my custom moves mostly in my Urban Shadows podcast. But thank you so much, everybody. We'll see you next time.